Aloha, good morning. This is Caron Davis at Caron Realty International. Um, Welcome. Trust everyone's had a wonderful week, and I'm very excited today to welcome Alex Peach back from Colliers. Thank you for joining us again, Alex. And of course, Alex is our expert on office leasing for both tenants and landlords. He's been with Colliers since 2015, and he's very knowledgeable on what's going on there in the office space world. And he's going to talk about, where we've been, where we're now, and what do we forecast for 2026. So I'm really excited. Alex, I'll hand it over to you now.
Okay, thanks, Karan. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me again. Always happy to be here. And I was kind of sharing, I'd given a presentation last week kind of on this topic. And it was definitely interesting to kind of dive into, I thought for myself, just looking, back 10 years ago, our vacancy rate here on Island was 12.69%. And you fast forward to the end of 2025 and we're at 12.59%. And I think you'd kind of think, wow, that seems really good. We actually dropped 0.1% even after COVID and everything like that. And a lot of that, it's really been buoyed by the fact that we've had a ton of office conversions as well as owner user acquisitions of properties where we take that out of our inventory. So our total office inventory dropped 1.3 million square feet, or about 9% of the total market, was taken off from these conversions or owner user acquisitions. And a couple of years ago, as for like on a per capita basis, we were like second, I think, only to Cleveland as far as the number of office to residential or other use conversions that were underway. I don't know what the latest stat is. I think some other markets have surpassed us, but it's definitely was a big part of what's been going on here. And a lot of it has been focused downtown. You have Davies Pacific Center that is potentially converting to a hotel. They're still waiting to secure their financing, but they need their permit first. But you've seen like 1132 Bishop convert to residential rentals. What used to be the Remington College building convert to the AC Marriott. And then you have a number of other things outside of downtown, like 1833 Kalakaua that is just starting a condo-tel conversion. I think it's a Residence Inn, and some other small ones. And then owner user acquisitions like Liliuokalani Trust bought the Honolulu Club building over there right across from Blaisdell. And they've converted it into this center for their children. That's incredible. I got the chance to tour it last year, and
Oh,
it's really
great.
amazing. But it's been complete. All of that office, all of that was completely taken off the market, and they have probably 1,000 square feet of offices for their trustees, for their board. But everything else is, like media centers and creator labs and all these things for the kids. It's really incredible.
Well, when you say for their children, what do you mean by that? Sorry.
So, I mean, the Liliuokalani Trusts, I don't know probably their exact mission statement, but they're essentially there to service Native Hawaiian children and like underprivileged Native Hawaiian children. And so I don't know their exact requirements, but they work with a lot of kids who are disadvantaged. And they can come in here. They have sports facilities, they have performing arts facilities, they had
Wonderful.
stuff like a 3D printing lab. They were doing like sewing classes in there.
Fabulous.
Can't even remember all the stuff I saw, but it's like really incredible opportunities for children to come in and learn, work on these things that, otherwise don't have opportunities. Some of them, I believe, are even like homeless, and they will facilitate getting them there.
Oh,
And
wow.
generally, I don't know off the top of my head all their requirements, but generally,
Yeah.
Native Hawaiian. I don't know if they take any kids who are not Native Hawaiian as well, but yeah, it's a pretty incredible
What
program.
a great setup. I mean,
Yeah,
many years ago, I was a member there at the Honolulu Club, and
yeah,
it's got some great racquetball courts and
yeah, yeah.
facilities for sports. Yes.
Yeah, and they kept some of the stuff they kept, I'm sure where the basketball courts, I'm sure that's where these were again, but
Oh,
they
that's
filled in
yeah.
all the pools and everything. A number of people on the tour
Are
were
they
like,
filled
I
in the
remember the
pools?
pool was right here.
Oh,
Yeah, they filled it. So no more pools, but they have
okay.
volleyball courts, tennis courts, and a lot of other like performing arts and things like that. Um, but yeah, that's just kind of an example of what some of the conversions, and that's really helped us keep a fairly healthy office market. And what, right now, as in today, the things that are kind of the challenges are we don't have a lot of natural growth of, industries here. We don't have a lot of companies that are like, oh, let's move and headquarters to Hawaii. So we kind of just have a shuffling of tenants in the market, or even tenants who are expanding. Some of the challenges are rising construction costs. They're not going down. So most
Yeah.
tenants moving, if they give a landlord enough lease term, they expect for basically their improvements to be covered. But it's becoming just harder and harder. You'll see tenants who are moving and they need a fairly standard build out, but it's just the price is coming so high that it's like we need 10, maybe 12 years of lease term, and not every tenant wants to sign that long. And so it's making it harder to get deals to pencil, as well as rising operating expenses. Everything just prices keep going up. And as operating expenses rise, which is just the landlord's pass through of their expenses, it means, the gross rent for tenants is increasing, and landlords aren't really able to say, okay, we need a little more base rent because we're putting all these improvement costs in, which is their profit center, because any increase in base rent is being eaten up by the rising operating expenses. So that's kind of our big challenges going forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So would you say it's mainly the insurance and electricity costs that are going,
Yeah,
a lot more
insurance had a
expensive?
big jump. Electricity costs are big. When minimum wage increased a couple of years ago, that caused some big jumps. I think we've stabilized a little more. Like there were some huge, 15, 20 cent, even more increases in operating expenses from one fiscal year to the next, like a couple
Yeah.
years ago. Right now, we're probably seeing, more of a 3 to 5 cent increase as an average. But yeah, as electricity continues to increase, water continues to increase, and yeah, insurance costs increase. Those are all what's kind of driving that. But
Right.
yeah, and then I did touch on in this presentation, like there are some industries that are growing, and I have seen like defense tech coming here. Like I had mentioned the Palantir. I don't know if you're familiar with Palantir. Everybody kind of seems to have heard about it. They're a big AI company and defense tech. They have all kinds of crazy contracts with the government. They actually leased about 7,000 square feet of office space at
Oh,
Pacific
wow.
Guardian Center
Whereabouts are they
downtown.
leasing? Yeah.
Pacific Guardian Center downtown. So
Oh,
they took
nice.
some space. They're not built out yet, but I was just talking to a guy at East West Center, and they're doing some sort of symposium in a couple of weeks. And I guess Sam Altman, the CEO of Palantir, is actually going to be here on island for this like Pacific Rim forum that East West Center's hosting, which is pretty interesting.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah, but I think
Oh,
that
interesting.
they're being driven a lot of this defense tech growth and either new entrants or current tenants expanding, as there's just a lot of focus on the Pacific Rim for the military and like what's happening, which is a little unnerving living in Hawaii, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But Taiwan, what's happening in China, North Korea, all of those are big concerns apparently of the military. At least that's what some of these guys at these defense tech companies have told me. Um, and that's why there's like kind of a focus here in that industry. So we're seeing growth there, healthcare clinical like space, as well as engineers seem to be another sector that is growing.
Someone mentioned to me that there may be a problem with, say, water shortage with the whole AI movement.
Oh
Have you heard
yeah,
anything about
that's
that?
what I've heard that. I mean, I think they need a lot of water to cool all of the like data centers. We don't really, I know, as far as I know there's like a couple data centers here. I don't think that's going to be a big driver here just because of electricity costs and yes, the intensive need of water because I think all those servers in a room, I'm not super tech savvy, but
Yeah.
need a lot of water to keep them cool. But I
Yeah.
did just see that I think ServPack is opening building some new data center here, but I don't think that's going to be a big growth driver here. I think in like Virginia and the Northeast, there's a lot of like data center development and such,
Oh,
but that's
interesting.
out of my realm of specialty.
So how's the East Oahu market going for office space? I know it's always been tight, Kahala,
Yeah.
Kaimuki.
Yeah, East Oahu, that's one of the things, and thank you for mentioning that. That's one of the areas that is still very, very popular. Some of the suburban markets, East Oahu and Mililani, are really tight and remain really popular. Kaimuki, there's not no space, but I mean, if you need 1,200 square feet or more in Kaimuki, there is nothing. It is complete. Everything is full. There were some spaces, and everybody has kind of come back. Kahala, I can pretty much definitively say no office space available. And there's some stuff out in Hawaii Kai, but that whole area, East Oahu, remains extremely popular for office space, and prices are higher there as well.
So what do you think 2026 will see this year?
My forecast was, and it's not, the most exciting is I think we're going to be fairly flat. We've seen some large leases signed. Department of Health just signed, I think, 65,000 or 75,000 square feet downtown. Um, but I also know of a number of tenants who are either closing up their offices or downsizing. So we're going to kind of vacillate, I think, in that 12% vacancy range. But my kind of message was that's not necessarily bad, because if you compare that to some of the mainland metros, they'd kill to be in the 12% range. LA's up in the 20% vacant range, somewhere in there. San Francisco's in the 30s, and a lot of other major metros on the mainland are in the high teens, if not getting in the 20s. So even though it's not really exciting, we're just kind of gonna, hang in that 12% range in my forecast. It's still good, and good for Oahu because we're still fairly healthy, all things considered.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for the perspective. It's a great, I mean, you've really given us a well-rounded of what's going on and some of the bigger leases happening out there too, which is exciting.
Yeah,
Some of the
of course.
bigger,
Thank you.
technology companies coming here to Honolulu. Yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So, and as you know, we always share our photos from Marianne at the end of every talk. And here we have a gorgeous Japanese white eye flittering around in an mountain apple tree. And our second photo here is Spot the Bird. So can you see where the bird is? I was kind of taken back here, but it's a house finch at the bottom here of a beautiful African tulip tree flower. And here's a pesty red vented bulbo is caught in, and the bird's hiding. So this should be a hide and seek for the photos here today. You have to really look for these birds, but gorgeous color, as you can see. Colorful impatience, a true mood enhancer. But thank you for joining us, Alex. I really appreciate it. And we're a bit challenged here today with finding the bird pictures,
Yeah.
but a good
I
way to
didn't see
get the
that
day
last one either.
started. And we'll look forward to hearing from you later this year. Much mahalo. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, Karan.